Welcome to the From My Stand podcast with Matt Hinkle. Whether you are an avid hunter, a novice, or someone interested in the sport, Matt has a unique perspective to share. Sit back, relax, and kick your boots up as Matt shares what he's seeing from his stand.
Hi friends, thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Matt Hinkle, and I'm really excited. We've got a special episode today. I'm sitting here with Mike Wiest. Mike is a lifelong friend of mine. He was a great friend of my dad's, and I would have to say he has got to be the most accomplished turkey hunter that I know. He tags out every year in multiple states, and so when I was trying to think of who we would bring on for turkeys, my mind immediately went to Mike, and I appreciate you being willing to come out and sit with us today. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Glad to be here, buddy.
Well, we're going to dive right into it. With all the time I've got with Mike today, I want to try to extract as much turkey knowledge as I can. I know I'm pretty excited to learn a few things today, and I know our listeners and viewers, they're going to gain a lot from this. So thanks for agreeing to do this.
You're welcome. I hope after 40 years of hunting these birds, I can give you a little knowledge, maybe.
I think so. So how'd you get into this? How long ago? When did you get into the sport, and what got you in? I mean, back then it was probably magazine articles and TV
Actually,
shows.
my dad.
Okay.
My dad was a big-time turkey hunter. He probably started way before I did, but I'm probably mid-'80s, something like that, 85, 80, something like that, probably.
Okay. So mid-'80s, your dad got you into it, or got you interested in it. How long did it take you to get your first bird? Did you have pretty immediate success, or did it take a little while, or what was that like?
I think they say the average turkey hunter hunts 6-7 years before he gets a bird. And I think I was right there in the average.
I know that's probably true of my turkey hunting life.
And to be honest with you, back then, I know my dad I got one, and for 10 years, him and a bunch of guys go out, nobody get one. I thought he just got lucky at one time, and it was hard, you know.
Yeah.
You'd have stories come back to his Gobble and this and that, but nobody ever got a turkey hardly. It was rough. State land hunting, you know.
Yeah. Was there a lot? I mean, turkey hunting's really popular now. I mean, it's huge. It's all over the Outdoor Channel, all over YouTube. Go into any Cabela's or anywhere, there's a huge turkey section. Was it like that back then, or? It
was hard on the state to get where somebody wasn't gonna bother you. You had to look on a map and walk back 2 miles and find a bird, because if you was close to the road, somebody come by and hear them gobbling, jump right in.
So it took you like the average, like 6-7 years to get that first 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it was, to get that first one. Did you love it? Is that what kept you going?
Oh, just sitting there and them hollering at you. Hey, I'm over here, you know, that just, I was determined to get one. If I known what I know now, it wouldn't have took me 6 or 7 years.
That's true.
You know,
that's true.
My biggest problem back then was staying too far back from the bird.
Oh, okay.
My dad would read articles. They could hear a mouse trip a mile away. You got to stay back. And, you know, my dad, 99% of the time, gave me really good information. He read a lot of magazines. And so that's why I did it. And then finally I got tired of that. And it was in these pines and some pine needles. It's like walking across carpet. I thought, I'm going to go right to them. That's what Hen does by nature. And boom, I get a bird. After that, I'm thinking, I'm going to do this all the time. And after that, it was about 6 years in a row after that, you know.
Yeah. And getting the first one, you were hooked.
Oh,
that's how it was with me. I liked it before I got the first one, but when I got my first one, that was all over. I was a turkey hunter.
I was ecstatic when I got that first bird.
Well, that's cool. Now, so it took a little while to get the first one, but you really liked it. So nowadays, how has the sport changed to now? Have you seen a lot of change, or is it still pretty much the same thing, or what do you think?
Well, the guys starting out now, you know, you can get on YouTube, and there's a lot of information that we didn't have back then, other than talking to somebody. There were some magazines out you could read and this and that. So there's a lot of information, you know, that just like what you're doing here, and that you can learn a lot of stuff. And
now, I am not a great turkey hunter. I'm usually good for maybe one a year, and that's about all I. It's all I
That's
can
really
do just to
good.
get the one. But Mike here, he hunts multiple states, usually tags out, then spends the rest of the season helping family, helping friends, and youngsters. And
I can't quit.
yeah, well, that's nothing wrong with that. Now, so let's talk about just the actual turkey hunt itself. I'm going to kind of ask you everything I can think of to ask you about this. Let's just start with what you take into the field, what you wear on your body, what you carry in. What are your thoughts on that? What's the essential Mike Wiest turkey hunting gear?
Well, what I do and the beginner is going to be
Okay.
kind of expensive for a guy starting in.
Well, that's
like
true.
you said earlier, you get stuff, as you go and accumulate. But honestly, if a guy would go out there, and I have no sponsorship with Quaker Boy, he's a Yelper.
Yeah.
But a guy take this call and a shotgun, get camoed up, and do everything right, you can kill a turkey every year. Now I take decoys out.
Right.
If you're out in the field, we're sitting along the edge of a nice big field there. I'm just waiting for a gobbler to come out, and I'll set a gobbler up over here. It's a Primos killer bee, and I'll put two hens, one right down low, like he's getting ready to get up on top of it, and another one's maybe a step across. And that's pretty much my setup right there.
Okay.
And, give it a few calls and not call too much. That's the key right there.
Yeah, we'll get into that because I do want to talk tactics and strategies and throw a couple scenarios at you that we all come across and see what you think.
I also leave a turkey wing with me. Do a lot of scratching, and when in the morning, if you hear them flying down, they can't see you. You can give them a little, and they think a hen flew down when you called.
Yeah.
Anything you can do to sell them that you're a bird, I also keep another tail with me here that sometimes if you don't have a decoy out there, you're running, gunning, and you just grab us real fast and like that. And I've had them come up to that. I mean, there's a lot of toys, tools.
Now you mentioned the shotgun. What's your shotgun? What's your setup?
My setup is a Remington 870. Okay. I had an over and under.
I didn't know that.
I had an over and under that I read in a magazine, and it's a good idea, I thought. If the only birds I missed was really close, and you think about it, you got that super tight choke, so you're almost shooting a slug at them. And you could flip open the open barrel and hit them with that one, or if they're way off, you could flip it over and shoot them with the other.
So you had an option.
Yeah. But it was a heavy gun. You got two barrels. But when my dad passed away, I picked up his 870 Remington, and I wouldn't go out with any other gun.
Okay. Well, that's what I used. I got an 870 thinking it was going to be my slug gun. It had the two barrels with the cantilevered slug barrel where you can mount a scope. And I deer hunted with it a year or two, but it didn't shoot slugs good for some reason. That gun I never really found the sweet spot with the kind of slug. And so it was a green synthetic stock, so I just turned it into turkey gun. Yeah. And I love it. 870s, I think, the way to go. Now, full choke, extra full choke.
It's a turkey choke that my dad had in. Choke. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what kind. It's been 30 years ago.
It kind of sticks out a little bit further out past.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. I'm sure it's as tight as what they're selling them now. But honestly, they have this. Well, we'll get into that. I was going to tell you about the shell.
Yeah.
I use it.
While we're talking about what kind of ammo do you use?
It's a they call them Longbeards. I think Winchester makes them.
Okay.
And man, they're the real deal. Yeah. You can get that tungsten, pay $10 a shell. But I don't have any trouble knocking birds down at $2 a shell. So,
okay, and that's Winchester makes the.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a 3-inch, like a.
Yeah, I shoot threes. Like that over and under, it'd shoot 3.5s.
Yeah.
And a lot of my buddies, some of them shoot them, but I don't feel it's necessary. I mean, I've had sore shoulders and broken noses and everything else. So I stick with the threes right now.
Are you just aiming right down the barrel with a bead? Or do you
I've got a red dot sight on it.
Okay.
My dad had that on it.
Okay. All right. Well, now we're talking guns. So let's just stay on the subject of guns. I brought one of these and I folded it, so it's going to be a little bit screwy there. I don't know how well the camera is going to pick it up, but this is one of those targets for patterning. I'm going to hand this to you. Where do you aim on a turkey? And you can hold it. My
dad said shoot him in the head, right here in the head.
Yeah.
Well, I missed a couple birds, And I read in an article where a guy gets excited and I'm gonna exaggerate this a little bit, but he looks over the gun and he's pushing the back of it down like, did I get him? And I noticed the bird stuck, like I shot right over their head.
Yeah.
So after that, I just started aiming right here in this neck area.
Okay.
And then your shot's gonna hit him in the head, the neck, and I really, be honest with you, knock on wood, I haven't done too bad since I've done that. I might have messed up your mic here. I forgot that was on.
No, that's
okay.
I think you're okay. All right. Well, one last gun question. What's your range? What's your ideas on range? What are your thoughts on range? How far?
I usually set my decoys out there. If I'm decoy hunting, 25, 30 yards tops. But I mean, if I slipped up to this field, we didn't have decoys and some gobblers coming out and they come up here, as long as they kept coming, I'm going to let them come out. But if they start back out and they were, 40, 45 yards, I'm knocking them down out there, I think once you get much past 50, it's getting maybe unethical,
I patterned my gun a couple of weeks ago and it 30, it's dense. It looks good. I shot at 30, 40, and 50. 50 is pretty loose. So I shot one at about 50 yards and that was it. Most of them are around 30. So
longbeards, they'll actually put shot in that target at 60 yards.
Really?
I mean, they're good. Yeah. They're really good.
Okay.
But, they make them with some kind of in the shot. I don't know what it is. Let's say silicone or something that keeps all that together.
Yeah.
When it comes out, stays together instead of your other shot spread.
So a little more than just a normal wad.
Yeah, it's in the shot itself.
Oh,
it's like poured into this stuff.
Okay.
Whatever it is, I'm probably saying this wrong, but it comes out and it stays together. And as it gets out there, that shot's so hot from the explosion, it starts melting that stuff. Then your shot starts spreading out.
I didn't know
so
that.
it goes further. Oh, yeah,
okay.
It's the real deal. You Google it, and I guarantee that'll come up.
Okay.
Next to tungsten, you know what I mean?
Well, we're doing this sit down in early April. Seasons haven't quite kicked in yet. Ohio, we're more than a week away, and then
week
some
and
of the
2
other
days,
states
but who's
are.
count?
Yeah. Well, and other states open up a little bit before us. But what are your thoughts on early season, late season, mid season? What do you like? I mean, I know you like to get after them right away.
Oh, yeah.
But what are your thoughts on early versus late season?
Well,
as far as what's better, what you prefer?
I like early season because, especially if they're not henned up yet, you know what I mean? Which that's getting hard to do. But I don't know. You get into mid-season, they get with the hens, it gets tough. You almost got to quit calling to the gobbler, call to the hen, and get that dominant hen mad at you and come over there and just mock her, and then she drags the gobbler over. It's about the only thing you do on that.
Okay.
But now late season, the hens are setting and it starts getting good again.
Yeah.
But the problem with something like that in Ohio is your grass on your grass field sometimes gets higher than your decoys if you're decoy.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so in Ohio, they don't let you hunt the evenings first couple weeks or whatever it is. They kind of split the season up in two. Mornings or evenings?
Mornings.
Okay,
mornings.
Really? Okay.
I'm not an evening hunter. Okay. And there's guys out there probably, whatever.
Hey, whatever works for you, do it. But
I'm
saying mornings for you.
My best time is I'll get out there 45 minutes before it gets daylight and sit. I mean, you could walk right under a bird right up here in that tree and sit down. I mean, I don't get like that, but I'm just saying you could walk under. I walked under them and got on out, didn't know they was there. And then it get daylight and they're gobbling right where I just walked under them, But if you go that early.
So they'll let you kind of walk.
If it's dark.
As long as you're being reasonable.
Yeah. I don't use a light and I just walk along and I get in there and I get set. And then, man, that morning when it gets daylight now, I
know.
I mean, that's where
it's addictive.
Yeah.
It is. We're sitting out where we may hear something like that. If we see or hear something, we'll stop what we're doing, get quiet, and try to catch it on camera.
I've seen them out here before.
Yeah. All right. So mornings. I'm gonna glance at my paper here because I want to make sure I get all of the.
With that said, mornings I like the gobbling early.
Yeah.
But I've killed a lot of birds, 10, 9, 10, 11. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, it quietens down after that first hour, and they've hunted, 6:30, it's quieted down. Now that's another thing. Back when I was first started, that birds would gobble till 10 o'clock nonstop from the time. And now you get a half hour gobbling, and then it seems like they shut down.
What do you think's caused that, or do you have
I think the gobbling's got, my opinion, has got bred out of the bird.
Really?
You take a bird that talks a lot,
Mm-hmm.
he gets dead.
He gets shot. Yeah.
And the ones that's quiet don't. So, eventually their kids.
That trait gets passed on.
That's just my theory on it. I don't know. That's what Dad come up with, and I think it sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds good to me. You heard it here first. Now, all right, do you use locator calls? I mean, let's talk scenarios. What's a typical hunt like for you? Let's say you get out, it's early, it's an hour before daylight, you're not hearing gobbles. What do you do when you're not hearing anything? Let's throw that scenario at you first.
Well, I can tell you what I'm going to do first day in Ohio. I've got a place I know where they normally roost. And here's another thing. They usually roost on a steep hillside over a creek. Now, if you ain't got that option, it ain't there,
Right.
But if that's an option, that's where they'll be.
A lot of people's hunting areas have that, though.
Yeah.
That'd be an area to start.
Well, I've got a place like that, and I know about on a hillside somewhere in there where they roost, and I'll get back off of them, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 yards.
Okay.
And set up, and I don't make a noise. I sit here just like, don't move a muscle, because they could be right here,
Yeah.
And when it gets daylight and they start calling, some people say, don't call them from the roost. And I don't know that ain't I know to each guy what he does, and sometimes I won't. And if I feel it's necessary, if I hear some hens coming around, they're going underneath this tree, and I want to make him think there was a hen over here too, maybe. And there's also a field that he goes to behind me.
Okay.
They go to a lot. You got to pre-season, get out and scout, listen where they're gobbling, listen where they go and take the hens, and you get between there or get out there where he's taking. Yeah. I'm kind of in between and hoping that he passes by and tries to pick up that hen he just heard. And if they're gobbling where I don't think they can hear me, I'll give a little light call, and then I'll give them that and do like a fly down call.
Yeah.
And then I might yelp a time or two after that, and then that's it. That's all he's getting out of me.
Okay. But a lot of times that's enough.
A
lot of times that's enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you use locator calls to try to force a gobble if you're not hearing anything? A lot of people do. I've heard a lot about it. Personally, I don't carry a locator call, but
I carry an owl call.
Okay.
I tried a crow call. Some people swear by it. Some people do real good. Maybe I'm not doing it right. I read an article that said, I'm just blowing it like a crow, but you got to blow it like a mad crow. Like it sees a gobbler down there and he's like, so maybe I'm not doing it right or something, not blowing it hard enough. But an owl call, and normally when I use this, I don't really use it once it gets daylight and I'm hunting.
Yeah.
What I normally do is take my easy Yelper and just walk around and call. And, some people say don't do that because a gobbler come running in at you.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't never had any much problem with that. But what I'll do in the evening, like they used to roost in behind my cabin. Okay. Well, I'd go out there about, dusk or whatever, and I'd hit that owl call, and they'd be like, well, I know right where they's going to be to start in the morning. That's what I like them for. And I'd go out there and hit it, and they wouldn't gobble, and they said, oh, they ain't back here. I said, I don't mean they ain't back here. Yeah. So we go back here in the morning, and they still gobble. Yeah. So,
I have had them surprise me. I had no idea they were there, and they were there. Yeah. People, they will say, if you're not hearing anything, you're in the wrong spot. Not necessarily is what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mean they're not there, but when they gobble, it does mean they are there. It gives you a good place to start,
Yeah. Now, let's say you got one responding. What's it look like? What does a Mike Wiest hunt look like when you got one you think is coming in? What do you advise to do?
If I think he's coming in, I lay that call down. I got my gun sitting. Now, here's another thing I do. If I hear this turkey gobbling out here, say right out here, everybody comes up and they sit and they face that gobbler.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting over here facing this way. Say he'd be over here then.
Yeah.
And I got my gun like this. Yeah. And all I got to do is bring, because you can't sit there and hold it forever.
Right. Yeah.
But I always put my left shoulder to the gobble, and because you can
for a right-handed shooter.
For or opposite shooter, the left. Yeah.
Your left shoulder toward the bird.
Yeah.
Okay.
And reason being because they don't always just come straight in. A lot of times they do, and that's great. But all of a sudden, I've had buddies say, "Man, I couldn't shoot him. He'd come up to my right."
Yeah.
Well, if you're left shoulder to the Gobble and he comes up to your right, you can come around
You
here
still
and boom,
got some
get him.
room to swivel.
But if you're facing him, he comes up to your right, you can't get all the way around
Yeah,
here. Now left, you can bend way around this way. So that's
the same thing with a bow. You know, that right shoulder is the hardest place to cover, you know, in with a bow. But okay, so left shoulder toward the bird. I'm glad we talked about that because I'm probably guilty of, you know, when I know where they're coming from.
I can tell guys that. I can take them out.
Yeah.
Tell them 10 times and they hear that bird. They're excited.
Yeah.
And they'll sit facing it.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah. Now, you're full camo head to toe, right?
Oh,
you got face mask on.
Face mask, gloves. What we got on right now work with face mask and gloves. Yeah.
So I heard somebody say one time that I personally think it's just as much of an accomplishment to get a tom turkey than a whitetail buck. In fact, I've had a harder time sometimes getting okay. Well, I heard somebody say one time that every deer think that every hunter is a tree stump, and turkeys think every tree stump is a hunter.
That's a good scenario.
So, I mean, you agree once they're kind of coming in, minimal movement, minimal noise.
No movement. I took a guy out one day and I said, you can't move. They're coming in.
That's been my experience.
I said, they can see your eyelids.
I was going to say, I think they can see you blink your eyes.
And, but now if they go behind a tree, that's the time to make that move that I'm talking about. Now, if you're out here and they're on them and they're just a little bit to the right, you can get away with moving that gun to get over on them real slow.
Yeah.
But no, now if they're going straight away from you, you got about 10% straight behind their head because their eyeballs on the side of their head. They ain't like a deer, you know, up here.
Right. Yeah.
And so they're right here and they can see, 350 degrees around.
Yeah.
So there's about 10% there that they can't see straight behind. I've got movement going right to, or they got the fan out.
Yeah.
With the head. But
I tried to kill them in the fall with a bow. I've never done it yet. I mean, because there's so much movement and they cover so much, almost have like that panoramic dome vision. I mean, I just get busted. I took a long shot at one with a bow one time, shot under him. And that's the closest I ever got with a bow. Cause
I think you pretty much have to hunt out the blind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can get away murdering a blind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got turkeys back when my dad wasn't getting any. Yeah. I got them 6 years in a row, and I told her, I'm good. I'm telling Dad, I'm good. I'm on a bow hunt them,
Yeah.
And I called 3 birds up that year I could have killed with a shotgun. He got caught drawing every time.
Yeah.
Next year, and ever since I've shot with a shotgun.
Yeah. With everything it takes to get one in, I carry the shotgun. But in the fall, they give you that fall turkey season, and I'm bow hunting anyway, so I'll try to get one. I always wanted to get one with a bow, but I haven't found a way to do it yet.
I've got them hunting in a tree stand and let them walk by me.
Yeah.
And when they're dead away from me, because a lot of times there's 2 or 3.
Right.
All them lines,
usually, that's exactly right.
But I wasn't really turkey hunting. It was just turkey season and fall.
Yeah.
Got one.
Now you brought up blind. Do you ever use a blind?
If it's raining.
Okay.
Only time.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying, if a guy's got a good spot, he wants to hunt a blind, that's great.
Yeah.
But to me, I don't know. And now they're coming up with blinds you can see all the way around. But, you're
right.
Like here, we could see turkeys way over in that field. We can see them way over here. And, if you had this little window here, it cuts you down. And now you can get away with murder, but we could kill a turkey right here. I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Even if they was out there, we could, if we were sitting, especially got our gun up,
right.
where, but no, if it's raining, you're not going to see nothing.
That's true. Well, that is one of my questions: weather and turkey hunting. What do you think? I mean, what are your thoughts on weather?
Dale, that I was telling you about, he on one of his videos, he says,
and I don't care if you mention it, Dale Outdoors.
Yeah,
it's a great podcast.
Oh yeah, he's the deal.
Yeah.
He is the deal. Matt Dale, I think's his name, and I watch him every year. I watch him every time, and he might cover a lot of stuff I already know, but I might pick up one thing that helps me get a bird.
Yeah.
But no, he said he said he didn't really know, and I don't really know that I disagree. So I've been out days at overcast, and they shouldn't be gobbling. They gobble up a storm, and I have too. But for the most part, if it's raining, I don't hear nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's a day like today and pretty, I mean, we're going to hear some gobbling in there,
Yeah. So good weather in your mind is better.
I
better
think so.
hunting.
Deer hunt. clear, calm days is what I see the most of anything, you know. And when do you want to be out here? When it's nice
true.
now, or
That's
you know?
True. Yeah, they want comfort too, I guess.
That's nice. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Now, this thought just run into my head. I'm a slate call guy. Now, I do have these little Quaker boy boxes. I've got one of those, and I haven't used it much. I use like a peg and a pot type call, slate call.
Yeah.
What kind of call do you use? I know you use the Quaker boy.
I've got one of them. I've got a mouth call. I've got they make a waterproof easy Yelper that I carry with, and I put both those two box calls with me just because it's got a little different sound and might sound like two different hens if they ain't coming to the one.
So in one hunt, you might use different calls.
I might use them four calls, you know.
Try to sound like different birds.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
sense.
But
not a lot. I mean, normally this will get the deal done. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, because what you brought up rain, and one thing about me, if I'm not in a blind and it's raining, my slate call, I got to be careful because it ain't gonna work in the rain. So, you know, it kind of depends on what kind of call you're using too with the weather. You got to be real careful with those slates.
Mouth call be nice, or like I said, that one's supposed to be waterproof.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't use it that much, to be honest with you. This is the deal. I mean, you know, going back in the 80s, mid 80s, when nobody was getting anything, and I'm going down the road and I see a guy carrying a gobbler. Well, he's successful. So I stopped the truck and, hey, how'd you get this? And you know, how often did you call? I want to know exactly what he did. And what'd you call him in with? I had one of these little box calls, you know, and this happened 3 times in a row. Wow. And I was telling my dad about it. He said, that's a beginner call. You know, he'd been hunting them for 20 years. I said, I don't care. The guy's killing birds.
I'm going to tell you something. I didn't know you used one of those. And I'm glad we've had this discussion because somebody got me one of those, and I just didn't take it that serious. On the packaging, it advertised for beginners.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, maybe I should be better than using this. But I mean, you're in my mind. You're the most accomplished turkey hunter I know personally. And if you're saying it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me.
I'm still a beginner, I guess, because
no, I love it.
Well, let me tell you what. My dad picked up a beginner call after I started rolling turkeys in, and he went to his grave with a beginner call.
Well,
he also used the box call that you like. He was good on one.
Really,
and I think that's probably the most realistic. But one of them, you have to practice a lot.
Yeah.
The difference is, your voice is the same all the time. Yeah. Mine or your voice might be different, and 2 hens might be different, but their voice is the same all the time.
Yeah.
And this has got a little spring in there. I put it in this top corner, and right there, and it keeps the same tension on this. Every it don't. And now if you've got
you get that rhythm.
Yeah, and if you're pushing, you push too hard, it might be louder, or so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is just a consistent, and it's telling that gobbler that's one hen, right? Or that is a hen.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and we might get some footage of this to show the viewers, but when we were walking in here, I noticed as we were walking, you were hitting that. And you couldn't do that with a lot of different calls. I mean, I guess with a mouth call you could, but
you got it in one hand.
Mike's got it in one hand. We're walking, and he's hitting that yelp, and it sounds natural, because there's a little bit of movement noise. Not we were being quiet, but there's that movement through the brush and that yelp, and that's going to help cover your tracks a little bit.
Oh, they can hear you walking in the leaves. You know, they can hear you walking.
Yeah.
Now we'd had a rain this morning, so we weren't making a whole lot of leaf noise, but sometimes I think that helps, honestly.
Yeah.
I've always got a pile of leaves by me and a big stick.
Yeah.
And I rake them this way, and I rake them this way. I rake them in a pile this way, and I move the pile over here.
Really? Yeah.
And I keep it low down here, and I take that stick and just like a turkey.
Well, that's what turkeys do. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. All right.
That's probably one of the best calls I got, honestly, right there.
Is that right? Just leaves on the ground.
Yeah, if you watch a bunch of hens, they're not out there. Yep, 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 yep.
Right,
yep,
that
yep,
is
yep,
true.
Yep, 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 you know.
Yeah, I've got some kids I'm trying to teach to turkey hunt, and I want you to talk to us just a minute about calling. But I've heard you say before off camera, what do you say the best call is?
It's the easiest one to learn. It's the hardest one to use.
What?
No call.
Yeah. And I first heard that from you. And I've told my kids, I'm like, how often do you walk around the woods and hear constant yelping, constant cluck? You don't. It's not natural. So
sitting right here where we're at. I was over on the other end of that field in a cedar tree, and I was in a little tripod stand. 2 gobblers come out here, gobbling their head. Actually, I'd walk by them, calling all the way. They never said a word. And then when I shut up, got up in that tree, they're like, where'd she go? And they're blah, blah, blah. And they step out there and they come out in this field out here in front of us. And they start coming, and I'd hit that call because I want to call them in, and they'd stop. It's like I put the brakes on them, and they'd strut around, and here I am, come to me, because that's the way nature is. And they'd strut around there for 10 minutes. I'm thinking, come on. And I'd quit calling. They'd start coming again, And then as soon as I hit the call, I'd stop them. Yeah. I'm telling them, when you call, I'm coming to you, hold still. You think you're calling them in, and you're stopping them is what you're doing.
Okay. And that's kind of counterintuitive. A lot of people think call, keep them coming in. But you're saying if you act too excited, they're just going to wait on you.
You call and let them know that there's a hen over there.
Yeah.
And then you make them wonder, where'd that hen go? It's the way I do it. I don't know. And it don't always work. I'll have a gobbler gobble, and then I'll quit. And I don't hit the call again. And he'll gobble. Just every once in a while, where you at? And when you start hearing that, where you at? Don't hit your call, because that's what he's fun. And then it gets quiet. Then you're like, oh, well, he's quit. Well, you better get ready, because he's sneaking in, find out where you're at.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think the biggest mistake turkey hunters make?
Call too much. Honestly.
Call too much.
Honestly, that's the number one. What we just talked about. And you think you're calling the bird, because that's what they tell you. You're calling, and you can. I mean, you can call, and a bird come right in, and everybody's gonna say, "Oh, he's crazy." No, I've done it. But if that bird ties up and he ain't coming in, it's because he's out there and he don't. Here's his call. Yeah, he's strutting around telling you, "Hey, I'm pretty. Come out here and come to me." By nature, the hen runs to the gobbler, so you're reversing nature. So what you got to do is get in his curiosity, like what, especially if you got a gobbler here and a gobbler over here.
Yeah.
And you got that, and you get them fired up. You're calling. I work them up, double, triple gobble. Okay, put it down.
I did it. The first time that ever happened to me was just last year. I got my personal best bird last year, and I called 2 in at once. They came from different. I thought they were going to fight. I mean, right in front of me, and I just, it was a little tough, but I picked which one I thought was the biggest and shot and got him. But they came from 2 different directions, and I mean, they went right toward each other.
Well, that's the best time to shut up, because you make him think you went to him, and him go to him, and whichever one's the dominant's going to come find out.
It was a good show. Yeah, it was fun. So, well, I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. What is there anything we haven't covered that you just want to say about turkey hunting? I mean, I'm not only do I not have all the answers, I don't have all the questions. So, I mean, maybe I've missed something that you just want to talk about, because.
I was trying to think. We pretty much covered a lot of it, but I'm sure there'll be something we'll think of after.
Well, I want to, before we quit totally, we'll get the camera picked up, and I want you to give us a little tutoring on decoys, what you do with decoys, and kind of show us what your rationale is. And you were showing me some tricks anyway before setting them up. I want the viewers to see that, because that was pretty slick.
But a lot of times I don't get decoys on my pack. That's
really?
That's usually, to me.
Do you set them up in the woods or just in fields?
Well, it depends on where I'm at. Like I told you, at one place where I know they roost and I know they come through, I'll go ahead and set them up in the morning. Now, if I'm going into a strange place and I don't know, I won't get them out, because it takes too much time to pull it.
Yeah.
And and that's in the woods. I'll set them up. But the best place it works, like out here on the edge of this field like this, because they can see them. They stand out. You know what I mean? And
now, what we haven't talked about, Mike's a good deer hunter too. I mean, I don't know which one you like better. You probably like them both the same, just a lot. But I mean, wind really is a factor in deer hunting. How much of a factor is wind in turkey hunting?
I don't hear much gobbling on a windy day.
Really?
If it's really blowing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, wind and rain, either one is a good day to, if you're out in the woods and you're set up and, I don't know, you call and you walk around, I do a lot of running, gunning, just walk around, really hit my call and try to strike something up. And if you can strike something up at 9, 10 o'clock, it's on. Okay. Because usually by then they're done with the hens, and that's great. Yeah. But if you can't, and you're just finally tired of walking around, I've got a couple places where I know they do take hens, strutting areas, and part of what you're scouting. and I'll set some decoys out there, and I'll just sit back and enjoy the day. These turkey chairs are the real deal, man. I mean, they're comfortable, and I'll have me a little lunch, and I don't quit till noon or whenever you quit.
These chairs are awesome. These chairs are these are his chairs, and I've never used a turkey chair. I've got a vest with a little pad on it, and I sometimes will take like a real small director's stool that I can just sit on. But these are awesome. I love these.
And on that, like that cushion or something, you want to sit where you can lean back on a tree.
Yeah.
And there might always, like we walked down through there wasn't an ideal situation for that.
Yeah.
But you think about it, we ain't got no trees back here. We're sitting there comfortable as can be, you know?
Yeah, these are nice. How long have you used something like this?
I don't know.
Yeah,
10 years, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ever since I've seen them.
They're pretty nice. I've never used one. I'm gonna probably.
And you're really sitting on the ground, you know.
Yeah. But it is more comfortable. It's a big difference.
I mean, it don't feel like it, but you're, you know.
And I think you'd probably be a little more agile in something like this than you would be.
Well, you can sit there a long time too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that makes a difference. So what's next for you? What do you got going? What are you going to be hunting in Ohio first or out of state?
Well, Kentucky's, this is what, Thursday? Kentucky starts Saturday.
Okay.
So I'm supposed to go down tomorrow and meet a guy, and he's got an uncle that's going to, got 100-some acres, going to put me in there. Hope and pray that there's something. See, that's going to be go in the dark, running gun. Of course, I'm going to ask a landowner, do you see them? Where do you see them at in the morning? You know.
Yeah.
And they're there all the time, but that's always fun. Seeing new country you ain't seen before, and if not, I got a backup plan. I got another buddy. He sells, I think it's Vision blinds or something on Facebook. I bought a blind off of him, and he helps me out down there.
Okay, cool. So Kentucky, and then Ohio's coming up. What'd you say? A week and 2 days? I know the date, but I hadn't figured it out. But it's getting close.
Kentucky starts Saturday, and Ohio starts the next Saturday.
Okay. And then this weekend is youth in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can youth hunt. I think it's 17 and under for just the weekend only, Saturday and Sunday, all day. I think they let them hunt all day. Well, Mike, thanks for sitting down with me today. This has been great. This is Mike Wiest, good all-around hunter, absolutely phenomenal turkey hunter, and I've learned a lot today. I hope you have too, and thanks for sitting down with us.
No problem, buddy.
Yeah, this has been fun.
I appreciate you having me.
Will you do it again sometime?
Anytime you want, buddy.
Okay, well, maybe we'll find something else to talk about next time, or maybe I'll mess up real bad in turkey season, and we can have an episode. You can tell me what not to do next time. So,
I'm an expert at what not to do. Any mistake you've ever made, I've done it twice.
Okay. Well, we're going to get the camera and take a look at your decoy setup. I do want to pick your brain just a little bit about that before we close up shop today. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Mike. So just give us just a crash course real quick on what you think about decoys. These are the decoys you use. What's the rationale behind how you set them up?
Well, the reason I set them up like this, well, first of all, these are like foam, fold up. I like them just because they're easy to carry. Fold them up to nothing. But I set up this Killer Bee, and there again, I've used these, and no sponsorship, and I don't know nothing about it, but I swear by it. And I set him up here where he looks like he's getting ready to mount her. And then I put another, I usually take one step. I don't know, it don't matter. And put the other one down. And I'll walk around and see this grass. See how it spins and it'll stop, hit this grass, and she won't spin. Sometimes I'll walk around, just smash so that any light wind would move her a little bit. And he'd be like, hey, that hen's moving.
You add a little realism to it.
And I used to use 2 hens. And the gobbler would hang up out there 80 yards, and he wouldn't come because they're supposed to come to him. And then my buddy told me, he said, get one of them. He said, it almost ain't fair. He said, and then you think about it, the hen or the gobbler out there, he sees this gobbler in here, and that's why they ain't coming to you. He'll come in here and this is supposed to be small. And you've seen gobblers out there.
Oh, yeah.
And he's supposed to look like the little runt in the pack. And he's like, I can whip him.
Okay.
And they do, buddy. I've had them come in a run. I've let them fight it. Actually, they tore my tail up one time. I quit letting them fight it after that.
Oh, really?
And they'll come up, slop him and peck him. But that's a late in the day. You run and gun and you can't get no gobbler. And you're like, let's just set up on the strut area and call every 15 minutes, maybe.
See what happens.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
And just call enough to where you can raise a gobble, you know, and then lay your call down once you hear him, because he's going to come in. If he sees this, I'd put $100 bill down and he's going to come to it. I might lose it, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to bet me too many times.
Well, I appreciate it, man. That's helpful. So, there's that little bit of movement, adds that realism to it.
And I use this, comes with a silk tail, and it's got a little plastic thing. Let me show you on this one. I keep that extra one by me. It's a little plastic piece. I ordered an extra one, which are hard. I can't hardly get another one. And you take real feathers and put them in there. And then and what's nice, this thing folds up to nothing. And you put it inside your turkey when you're carrying it. And then you just take it out, put it there. But the silk tail, I've had guys say, they didn't come to it. They didn't come to it. And I said, really? And they say, I had that silk tail. I said, no. Put the real feathers. Looks like a real turkey.
Yeah.
And it's a real deal. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate your time today, Mike. Thank you. This has been great. And I hope that our viewers and listeners have picked up on a few things. Yeah, that hen, she's moving around in that wind right now. Helps with that.
His tail is too, see?
Yeah.
So the real feathers.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I usually say that's how I see it from my stand, but today it's the turkey chair. So I'm your host, Matt Hinkle, and that's how I see it from the turkey chair. Thanks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening today. Be sure to tell your buddies and follow us on your favorite podcasting platforms. Y'all take care.